Welcome to the show. And I am excited to meet this gentleman. I've only heard about this band for about a week or so, and it just blew my mind. And I think you guys will enjoy it too. And so I want to welcome to the show CJ Wright. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
As long as you don't call me late for dinner, you call me anything you want, man.
I love it. I love it. All righty.
My wife
So
calls me idiot, so
uh,
this is an upgrade.
my wife calls me worse, so but we won't go there. So I want to just jump in real quick in case nobody knows who CG Reich is. As you can see on here, I'm just making sure. Whoops, did I lose you there?
No, I'm here. I'm on the side.
Oh, you're on the side, so you
I'm
can
on the
see your
side.
IMDb page. Is that
That's my IMDb page.
perfect? Perfect. Just making sure. I need a third monitor. As you can see. So I was looking over your IMDb. I am just so impressed with everything you've done.
Thank
Uh,
you.
it's amazing. Now, of course, when you play this, it says you only have 23 awards, but when I go to your website, it says 29. So has
Oh,
it gone up since then?
yeah, we actually just won an award at the Silicon Beach Film Festival for Best Director. And that was for Ironwrath's video, The Best Part of Me, which was a pleasure to shoot. It was a rough one to shoot, to be honest with you. But it took about 3 months to get that in the can. And yeah, we just won an award for that. So it's actually up to 30, awards, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we're at 30. And then we're up for two more tomorrow at Best Shorts Film Festival,
Mhm.
and that's for Best Video and Best Original Song. We'll see how that goes, and then yeah, we have right now we're submitted for Cannes, so yeah, we have a lot of film festivals coming up for the band and the project, but yeah, we're at 30 and counting, so you know, once
Absolutely.
again, it brings me no respect around the house. Nobody cares.
That's awesome.
That's a
Anyway,
Rodney Dangerfield thing. Nobody cares. No, nobody
let's
respects
play
me.
this. If this doesn't play well, I can always fix this in post. But here's a little bit
Yeah.
of the director's spiel. But phenomenal.
I watch the shadows fall across the window light. I can see the teardrops fall as rain from the sky. Tomorrow is forgotten now, and their hope is unseen. As we wake from this dream, lost your reflection in the waves of the sea. The storm is coming in a party we're through. It's going all night long when the lights come on. When the lights come on, your buzz blowing it up. It's going all night long when the lights come on.
Yeah, man.
That is some.
It's a couple years worth of work right there, but yeah, it's
Uh,
yeah, I got my start. I used to compose for films, and I got to work with a guy by the name of John H. Radulovic. And John at the time was head of all physical effects at Sony Pictures, and he was currently working on X-Men 2. And we did a big DVD shoot at the Thousand Oaks Civic Center, like an 1,800 seat venue. Uh, and John directed through his company called Vanishing Point, and we became friends. I work with Barry Walton and Chuck Bemis, and these are all legends in the industry. They have, Emmys and stuff like that, and Oscars for what they do. And we became friends. And then when I started my solo project, God had different intentions for me and pulled me out of that project. I was currently with Doc McGee with that project, Benessi, and God pulled me out and said, "Why don't you do your solo project?" So I did. And I had an opportunity to headline a concert. And I really wanted to bring film into it. Wasn't sure how to do it. And I talked to my buddy John and just said, "Can I just get some advice from you?" And he said, "Look, I'm one of your biggest fans. I love what you do, CG. If you're gonna do something, I want to be part of it." I'm like, "Yeah, I get the nice words. I appreciate it, but I got no money, and I'm gonna be playing in the mud. So I'm not, sure if that's what you do because I know it's not." And he said, "No, no, no, I'm in." So he really took me under his, and he noticed I had a real keen sense of visuals, and took me under his wing and really showed me from the ground up a lot from the editing bay, and but also on set. And I got to visit, sets as he got in with Showtime with shows like Californication and Ray Donovan. I got to go out to the set a lot, and I really got a good study there and learned hands-on about directing uh, and music. And so I really started off in cutting my teeth in multi-camera uh, live concerts and drummers. Work with some of those drummers, Dave Weckl, Tommy Aldridge. God, there was so many there. Aaron Spears, Tony McAlpine on guitar, Virgil Knight, just all those guys. And then from there, graduated into doing theatrical, which really was a different monster. And I got my butt handed to me a lot doing that, but learned a lot. And started working on short films, which is a great way to do it when you don't have a big budget. And started getting accolades for that work, and from there end up working with car companies, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then here I am today with you.
wow, that is, and you're quite a drummer and percussionist.
I'm a monkey.
You're a
I'm a monkey, man. Give me something
we
to
had a
whack
friend of
on, I'm
mine.
good.
Yeah,
A
we had a friend.
banana and a drumstick, and
Yeah,
I can be left alone for a couple hours.
yeah, we had a friend of mine. He played drums for uh, a heavy metal band. I can't remember. Oh, it was called Sin No More,
Okay.
and we called him Spider Monkey
Spider
because
monkey.
just
I like it. Yeah.
so
Drummers are a different breed, man.
they are.
We're usually happy, going, not afraid to bring a lot of gear. Taste drummers tend to pack less gear, but most drummers don't care about the gear. They just want to, as long as they can set it up and bang, they're good to go. Whether it's Stuart Copeland or the guy down the street at the pizza parlor, it doesn't matter. Give us a drumstick and something to whack on, and we're happy.
Trash cans.
We're very simple people.
I know what you mean because this is where I kicked myself. I was a very hyperactive kid when I was younger. So in grade school, to try to, you know, plug myself into something that would, I hated the violin. I tried the violin, I tried the cello, and then I learned drums. And
Yeah,
I started with the snare. This was in grade school, of course. So I
yeah,
was pretty young. And then I went to the bass drum, and then I oh, what are those three toms when you're marching?
Yeah, quads.
Quads, yeah,
Yeah,
quads.
quads.
So,
Yeah.
so I, I'm a type of person that gets into something like that, but then when I feel overwhelmed, I want to run away from it. And I should have kept it up. And
But
because I tried, I was all excited. I went down to, I said, man, I want to play the drums. I went to the Salvation Army store and the Goodwill and all that, and tried to put my own kit together.
I'll
And
tell you, I was good friends with Remo Belli, the drumhead Remo. That was
right.
actually a guy, Remo Belli, and he
Uh,
died 5 or 6 years ago. But he was a friend, and I got to work with him quite a bit behind the camera. Um, and his goal, was to get everyone playing drums, but not like you think, not in a professional world. But his uh, MO was this, that you don't have to be a pro soccer player to kick a soccer ball. You just do it to go have fun, to have a nice day, right? You don't have to be a professional drummer to bang on a drum. And drum circles are one of those things you can just kind of get with a group, and it kind of just works even if you don't know how to play. And so it was the idea that drums could be something that could be, instead of playing video games or sports, you could have a little fun, beating on a drum, and it would make your day a little bit better. So that was his goal, and it made sense to me. So
right. Right. Yeah. And what got me away from drums was Hollywood. I wanted to go into directing, and I wasn't much of an actor. I always liked working behind the scenes, being
sure.
stuff. But getting back to your drums for a second, I love this. I don't know if you finished this or not, but I'm going to share some of this.
This was a touring project. No, this is I headlined Las Vegas, toured several casinos in the big room throughout the U.S. No, this is a working project.
Yeah, and well, it's a good way to stay fit.
Yes, it is.
Visionary composer, filmmaker, and master percussionist C.G. Ryche comes a visionary Imaginarium, an unprecedented mystic world of rhythm that pushes the boundaries of sight, sound, and imagination. C.G. Ryche, Mystic Rhythm.
A mystical world of rhythm to create an experience that really takes the viewer, not just the listener, but the viewer, into their imagination. And we do that with multimedia. We do that with world-class performances, drum numbers that will blow your mind, and drums that people have never seen before, which makes it really a multicultural experience.
The ethereal and tribal sounds of C.G. Ryche, Mystic Rhythm. From epic soundscapes to explosive compositions, the music of Mystic Rhythm is nothing short of visionary. unencumbered project with major demographic and multicultural pull for all ages. An original and unprecedented journey through rhythm that connects you with your primal roots and the human race. A journey into your imagination from the world of one of today's most visionary artists. Dare to imagine. C.G. Ryche, Mystic Rhythm.
Wow. I'd like to see the whole concert. Is that
We had a PBS special that aired called Echoes of Silence. I don't know if it still airs anymore, but it aired for like a decade. And I used to tour uh, under public television a little bit, some shows through affiliate out here in Southern California. But yeah, it was a really good show. It's a big show, big production, a lot of moving parts. And we did film, and it was a lot of fun. And that music was, it's all my original music. Even that film thing we watched, that was a song off of my upcoming album, which is on the back burner right now because I'm really, really focused on Ironwrath right now. But yeah, that project was a lot of fun. I think we'll be rehashing some parts of it, maybe more on a smaller, like the solo approach for, like, big New York runway show or an unveiling for Chevy or something like that. Do more things like that than the big show. But the big show is still there, and it's mountable. But like I said, we're really focused on Ironwrath right now because
right?
we really got some big stuff coming there. So
Yeah, and I want to get into that. I got to ask you,
yes,
have you heard of Stephen Yake? Yake Films?
Stephen who?
Yake. Yake Films.
I have not.
He was originally out of Nashville. He moved to Florida now.
Okay.
He did a lot of this stuff. As a matter of fact, he did a lot of music videos for like Michael W. Smith,
Oh wow.
Petra. He did a movie for Petra called Beyond Belief. He did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
And
I'm
he's
surprised
still
I
doing
don't
it
know him.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot. Um, he doesn't do a lot of harder stuff like you, but he's always, but he does more. He works more with the churches and all that
Yes.
stuff because he started out with the Gospel Bill program. I don't know if you remember Gospel Bill and Fire by Night and all those shows. He was the producer for all that.
Okay. Fantastic.
Really
Yeah, I'm
great.
surprised I don't know him. I mean, I get hired to produce a lot of shows. I'm doing one right now for the BMI. I've done a lot of stuff in Vegas for different corporations. I've worked for the NFL, putting together not the event, but putting together the project. But a lot of people bring me in as a creative director, so I'm surprised I don't know him, and should get to know him, huh? I can
Oops.
learn a thing or two.
Well, he's been around a long time, but he's a lot of this stuff reminds me of that, and of course Pink Floyd and all that stuff. So try to get into trying to.
The visual, I think the goal is to create an experience. If it's just a audible thing, watching some band play their song that you love, just it's a great experience. But when there's a visual experience that goes along with it, it takes things to a different level. So that's really been my goal as an artist, and especially with the current project I'm working with, Ironwrath.
Yes, and we'll get into that right now. Here's a picture of the band. Let's see. This is looks like some of the visuals.
Yeah, this was for the debut show we just did September 30th at September 30th, August 30th at the BMI Center
Yeah,
in Versailles, Ohio. That's Steve Barhorse's
yeah.
uh,
Immortal.
place out there. What a beautiful
Yeah.
venue.
Yeah, that's how I found out about you guys was a guy named Pastor Brad went there and he was real respectful not to film any of you guys' stuff because you asked them not to.
Yeah,
But
what we really want, there's twofold to that. One, we have big management right now. We're working on getting publicists.
Hmm.
We're doing, we're really out to get this project working so that, people can really come see it in its full expansion. We didn't get to do the full show at Immortal, and it's really hard to we couldn't bring our crew. There wasn't any of if we did, it wouldn't have been time to program everything the way it needs to be. The guy we work with there, Dave, was fantastic, and Steve on audio was fantastic. But there just wasn't time to program and do what we need. So we really want to set that up. And so to do that, we got to keep things low key. We can't have the whole show out there for people to. It defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do.
Right.
But two, one thing we encourage, we don't want to tell anybody how to enjoy their concert. Enjoy your concert the way you do. But back in the day, there weren't cell phones. You just
Yeah.
focused 100% on the concert, and there's
Absolutely.
a lot to soak in on
Mhm.
Ironwrath Master Storyteller. So if you just put the
Yeah.
phone in your pocket and just enjoy the show and
Yeah.
get emotionally involved, because that's really what the show is meant to do. And when you're behind your little cell phone playing director, which I know a lot about, your focus
Me
is a
too.
little bit on the shot and a lot of other stuff, but you're not getting the full experience. And we really want you just to experience it full on. And that way, it's just we want to take you somewhere
Sure.
in your imagination, and so that's really the goal with that.
All right. So I'm going to do what you guys normally do in concerts. I don't know if you do it, but most bands do. I want you to introduce the members of Iron Wrath.
Absolutely.
First
This
one.
is this is Alan Woodward. Excuse me, Woodworth. He's worth it, but Woodward, and he's a great front man. Really theatrical. Ironwrath really needs somebody theatrical to front the project. This was the guy. He's got a great vocal range. He's a patriot, loves God, and is a good front man for the project.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
looks like a good aerobics teacher too.
Yeah, no kidding.
And of
Oh,
course,
this guy's just a monkey. I'd ignore him. So, but on a serious note, drums, percussion is probably more my forte than drums, and that's what I've studied with the Who's Who and have done most of my life and mostly known for. But my roots are drums, so to get back into playing percussion was a big deal for me, and playing drum set was a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it right now. But Sean Silas right here, me and Sean were back in Holy Right is where I met him. I believe 1986. We cut an album back in the day. And from Holy Right in 1980, we formed Iron Wrath. He's a close friend. He's more than a friend. He's like a brother to me. We've known each other, what was that, 40 years, almost 40 years. But he's a monster guitarist, just an incredible guitarist, great tone. And he also helps me out a lot with the film. He knows how to do some stuff in Real Engine, which is a 3D program. So he helps me with some of the shots and stuff we need for the film. We got our own stuff, and we're working on that a streaming version of our film for Netflix or Amazon Prime. We're going to be in talks with both of them for 2025 summer. So we have a lot of work to do. But he helps me out with a lot of that. Great guitarist, monster tone, great solo, good showmanship. He's a winner. Winner, chicken dinner with Sean.
absolutely. I watched him play in that one video where he's out in the desert. That
Yeah,
is some killer licks, I tell
he's
you.
good. He
Oh,
says something with his guitar. It's not all about
absolutely.
watch me, but he's actually saying something with the guitar, and that to me means a lot. So,
Let me get back to the rest of the. I we didn't have your bass player. I didn't get a.
in the press kit, you might not have it. On the website, you would find that bass player's right there. He's covered by the mic. That's Noe Morga.
Uh-huh.
Now, Noe is somebody we bust his chops a lot. He's the fall guy in the band. Me and Steve both pick on him quite a bit. But somebody's got, yeah, go to media right there
Oh yeah, media.
and then go to photos. There you go. You can find anybody in there.
Oh yeah.
And go down a little bit more and
Use
yeah,
pictures.
right there you get good pictures. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can find anybody you want in there.
Oh,
So but yeah, Noe's a fantastic bass player, great showmanship. He plays ball. It's interesting. This really, he's green to this project. He's
Mm.
hasn't done a bunch of gigs, doesn't have a bunch of experience, so he's really learning on trial by fire. Your first real band is Ironwrath. That's pretty scary, but he listens and really pushes hard, and we appreciate that. So love him to death. And the last player that we didn't talk about there is Steve uh, Bell, which also was from Holy Right. He's really, my right hand man in the project on the business side. Really great rhythm guitarist, great writer. Really gets, I think, the bigger vision of Iron Wrath and what we're really trying to do from a
Perspective.
sonic, as well as visual
Mhm.
aspect. So, yeah, Steve, and he's probably been my best friend for forever. So, but we've known each other. Me, him, and Sean have all been like friends, brothers, all this time, and even now, there's really no squabbling. There's no anything. We just all get along. We all have fun. We enjoy the time. I mean, how many bands out there, after a 35-year hiatus, get back together and actually get to put the album out they never got to do? So we're very fortunate. We get that. And more than that, we hope we inspire a lot of those other artists out there that are great artists that never got to do it, but yet just get that dust off the guitar and the drum set and get back in the studio. So, but that's Iron Wrath, and me, Sean, and Steve are the kind of the business side. Alan and Noe are the newcomers, and but together everybody just has a great time, seriously, and we all work hard because you can't get anywhere without hard work. Iron Wrath is probably one of the hardest working bands you'll find, across the board. So
Absolutely. Like I said, I watched Master Storyteller at least 3 or 4 times. It's addicting, just like you say in the website. I don't know where it says on here. Um,
it's an experience. It's a musical odyssey down the rabbit hole of reality, and that's really
Absolutely.
the goal of Iron Wrath's Master Storyteller is not to preach at you, but to get you
Right.
to question the narrative, the status quo, the lies, to look up for answers instead of look to the news for answers. And and as well as realize that some of the greatest gifts we have in life are the things we take for most for granted. And that's, our family, our loved ones. And then we also are a big supporter of our troops and those people that sacrifice so much, for this country, even if what they're doing over there is we all don't agree with, and not
Right.
that they agree with it either. They still stepped up to the plate and are sacrificing for us. Iron Wrath wants to remind people that matters.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that because, there's so much mixture, and controversy and so
Yeah.
much negativeness and that's been happening because, you know, we want to support our troops because they protect our country.
Yes.
And I'm 100% behind that. But we have been getting into some nasty things that we
Yeah.
should.
A lot of places we don't
And
belong, don't need to be, waste of
absolutely.
money. It's a very simple thing, and it really spawns more from a spiritual issue. That behind the scenes, I mean, the devil's come to kill, steal, and destroy. Let's
Right.
just say it like it is. And he's doing it, through war. He's doing it through drugs. He's doing it through lies. And that's what we see happening now. And the people over there fighting wars they should be fighting, you know. For who and for what? For what cause? For what gain? You
Right.
can say for someone else's freedom, but they don't have freedom over there. Most of those places, and what they're fighting for is not that. And two, you got to fight something you're going to win if you're going to fight. It's just, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of things we're doing, and people are getting rich on it. Is what it is. The
Absolutely. It's very,
military industrial complex.
it's a lot of it because I do a podcast with a friend of mine, Johnny Cerrucci. This is one of his T-shirts.
Nice.
Flying Monkeys, Resistance Rising. We do go down the rabbit hole, but we go much deeper.
Yeah.
Ironwrath
It
does.
it goes
And
deep.
I wanna tell you, the people that are pulling the strings of the George Soros, and it is not pretty. It is
No.
not pretty.
The
And
plan is very sinister and it comes from the devil and the
it,
sun.
and it all it ultimately,
Yeah.
it's ultimately um, comes down to that. And so, which I wanted to get into here, show all these videos, but um, we talked about tyranny. When
Yes.
I first saw tyranny on YouTube, I believe it was YouTube when I saw that one. It
Yes.
kind of reminded me of Five Finger Death Punch. Are you familiar
Okay.
with that band?
They're a
Uh,
great band.
what's that?
They're a great band. Yeah.
They're an excellent band. I think they're ex servicemen, and they did. I think it was a song called "Welcome to the Circus," and I
Okay.
don't know if you ever seen the video to
I
that.
haven't seen the video for that. No, I'll
The
check it out.
video at first, it starts out with these overweight superheroes, and they're all strung out. One's eating Tide Pods, and then it goes to the masking thing, and people are getting awarded for putting on their masks and all
Yeah.
that. And then it goes to a zombie apocalypse thing. And then at the end of the movie, at the end of the video, I love it, is they wake up Thomas Jefferson, to sign the Declaration of Independence
Yes.
at the end of the at the end of the video. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
I haven't seen
it's
it.
crazy. It's crazy. And so that's the kind of stuff we need. This is what the youth, need to see. Thanks to MTV, which
Yeah.
used to do music videos. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing now.
Yeah,
Reality
they
shows
do
or
whatever
something.
pays the bills, and it's
Uh,
mostly paid propaganda anymore. But back in the day, they tried. It made sense, but it financially it never made sense, and it went down. But yeah, it's I've always looked at, especially today, the musician, the comedian, the podcaster is really the Paul Revere of the day and age we live in. We're the ones that need to say something. And the interesting thing with all those mediums, uh, especially music, is they can get into places that normal people can't get. You can't watch the news. That's all propaganda. That's all paid for.
yeah,
That's all. That's all. CIA psyop stuff. What Operation Mockingbird, et cetera. They've been running for years. It's and it works. And I believe it ties into MK Ultra and they're using
right.
techniques like that to not hypnotize, but the way you would go to a fair and see 30 people on a stage get hypnotized, and he boils it down to like six, but those six start doing everything he says. I think there's ways that there's patterns and all that through beta programming, all that they're using, with social media as well as mainstream media
Sure.
to
Yeah.
brainwash people. Much less the CIA has done several psyops and testing on beta testing, like the one I forgot the name of the thing where they put 18 people in a room, just random people, and they brought in a shape on a board, and it was a triangle. But what the 18th person didn't know is that 17 of those people were CIA psyops. They worked for the CIA. They were
Right.
undercover. But that 18th person thought they were just an average person like him. And when they held up the triangle, I said, "What do you see?" First guy says, "I see a square." And they just repeated that 17 times until it got to the guy that actually was a random guy and said, "What do you see?" And he said, "I see a square." And that's kind of those are the games they're playing. And
You push a lie hard enough and repetitively,
yeah,
people are going to
it's
start
it's
believing.
and in today's game of that, like remember the old movie War Games in the 80s, and the kid played it. That stuff we know is real. But today, what's the difference is they can gather a tremendous amount of analytics off of their war games. So, a lot of things that come out, whether they're posts or certain news stories, they'll gain analytics from that, or even things I believe like COVID. Not only did that they get everyone's DNA by, making you take a stupid test, shot you up with RNA, which is just ridiculous.
Mhm.
And which, and all the facts were there on the website that were garbage back then, telling you that, look, this is not what everyone's saying it is, but the news all saying people are dying, your grandma's going to die, and scared the hell out of everybody. And they just gather the analytics on, how many sheep we have compared to patriots. And, so they know what they can do and when the time is right. Because I believe this plan they've been setting up to do, they've been at it for a generation or two.
Oh yeah.
Getting to the youth. Remember when we were kids, we were told, I think I was in ninth or 10th grade, which would have been 40 years ago, whatever, 40 some odd years. They told us that truth was relative, which we never heard before. It's like, well, what do you mean truth's relative? I don't understand that. Then they said that if your parent hits you, you could turn them in, which back in our day, teachers would whack us. You got to be glad they had a paddle. They'd smack you.
Oh yeah.
Your neighbor would smack you, and your dad would say thank you. But now it's like your own parent, threatens you. You call a number and they could get arrested. And
Right.
then the third thing was everybody's a winner. Even if you lose, you still get a trophy. You still told you're a winner,
Yeah.
and it's
Participation trophy.
you bake that in a generation for 20 years. Now kids don't know if they're a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
Nothing's. Their emotions matter more than facts, and we kind of live in a wonderland, a crazy land, and that's what Ironwrath kind of says. Come down the rabbit hole, but not to a wonderland, but to a world of reality
Yeah.
from this crazy. Let's remind you where we came from and what they've been doing all along. Like what climate change right now. What it was. I remember a couple of years ago it was acid rain, and then it was the glaciers are going to melt, and then it
Oh
was oil is going to. It's always something.
yeah.
10 years this is going to happen.
Well, that's what they do is sometimes they get you with fear porn or they get you with this and that. And this is what I like about Iron Wrath as opposed because like my friend Johnny, he spent 20 years in the Marine Corps
Yes.
and he spent time over
Yes.
there in Iran, Iraq, and when he came back, when he was in the airport, this is what was kind of heartbreaking, is he's in the airport and as these people are getting their lattes and stuff, which I saw that in the video, one of your
Yeah.
videos where everybody's sipping their lattes and everything, and they would thank him for the services, but it what the disheartening part is that they have to go through those naked body scanners to get on the plane.
The 9/11, right?
Yeah. And
9/11.
so it's a difficult thing. And
It's
what's
a it's a mental psyops. It's a game for control. It really is. And there's always some idiot trying to rule the world. And right now with technology, you can actually globally rule the world because if you can control, if they can switch it to a digital currency, they'll have what they need, to control the world. So
absolutely, absolutely. And what's nice about Iron Wrath that appeals to me is that you're able to get past the censors because
yeah,
they say, oh, this is just another rock
another
video.
band, another
Right,
band.
right. People like us, now Johnny and I, like I said, we go deeper than in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly getting censored,
Yes.
constantly. And I don't know how many times I've had to reestablish a YouTube channel
Yeah.
because of the stuff
Right.
that we put out there. But then to see and let's get into this real quick. I want to play the trailer um, to this so everybody gets an understanding what this is about. Oh, I better
Sure.
hit the share. Okay.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy Come with me, and you'll be in a world of your imagination.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually that doesn't really. You have to see this. I was watching this, and the other day I was on YouTube. I watched tons of YouTube videos, and the Eagles, the band the Eagles, played at the Sphere in
Yes.
Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Now I
absolutely.
could see, of course, you would have to get what IMAX cameras or whatever.
It's on a technical aspect, the ratio and the spear is like really, it's not just like a lot of panels put together. It's like the latest greatest technology of panels, Pandora boxes, and to run just the media from that. I mean, the UFC just did Noche 306, and just for them to run, make a 10-minute or it should be, I think like a 90-second clip would take 12 days of rendering. So that's a farm. That's not a computer sitting on a laptop. That's a farm. And those don't know, that's probably 300 to 1,000 computers that are all rendering that stuff, which is actually less than like James Cameron. I think it takes if I'm not mistaken, like God, what was it? 100 hours to render one frame of Avatar. Okay. But it takes a lot. So, but yeah, to play the spear, you just can't throw your video up. Even like there's Kodak, and I won't get all into that, but just put it this way, I'll make it simple. If you were to shoot a piece of 4K with your iPhone 15 and you were to shoot 2 minutes footage of anything you want, you're probably going to end up with close to a gigabyte, maybe less, a little less of information. If you shoot that same 2 minutes with an ARRI at 4K, 10-bit uncompressed, you're talking about 17 gigabytes of information. So when you start talking about the spear and the kind of resolution you really need, and I'm not even sure they're probably I don't even know the resolution they're using for there. And plus it's on a curve. So there's all kinds, it's from the uh without being in the visual effects world, it's quite a feat to do. But with that said, yeah, it's always been a dream to do, remember out here in California, you should have the Peak Floyd laser light show. And then you lay down in a beanbag and they play Dark Side of the Moon. They shoot these cornball lasers up on the laserium over at Griffith Park. And that's always kind of been our goal to be able to do something like that. So yeah, if we ever had the chance to do the spear, we're a band that one of the few bands I think in the world, maybe us, Tool, Roger Waters, and maybe Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and definitely a Ramstein. Dude, that's about it. I know that harness that kind of production. So yeah, it would be I would love the opportunity, but it would be a real deal. And I think UFC shelled out 20 million.
I bet they did. Well, even an IMAX. I've been to an
Oh yeah.
IMAX theater. and that it's just
Oh, it's the best. My favorite theater is probably the Dolby. I love the Dolby. It's 4K, but yeah, the IMAX is just my buddy. I studied with Bruce Markey, who used to be the head of all post production for Marvel films, Ant-Man, uh, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Captain America, etc. He was the head of all the post production. So he used to come to the Showtime Bay with my manager and watch my short films, which was such a treat. And he would just rip me a new one. Very nice about it, but man, he was so honest. And it was just like nothing got by this guy. He just like ripped me. And it was but I looked at it as such a pleasure because it's like I'm getting to learn from this guy. And so I just shut up and listened. And and he went on from Marvel, he went to be work for IMAX. So I'm not sure if he's still with IMAX. He might be retired now, but he was with IMAX a couple years ago, and doing that. But IMAX is great, and Christopher Nolan's really been pushing the whole IMAX thing, and it's a wonderful format. But man, is it a bear to work with, man.
I bet.
Film is a bear, period.
I
It's
think
a
the
whole different
film is
show.
only is like that long, that wide or something. It's pretty big. I've seen it.
It's 70. I think it's
No,
70 millimeter or something like
is
that.
70
It's
millimeters?
yeah, compared to 35. It's really when we deal with resolution, when you talk about digital cameras, you're really dealing with pixels. How many pixels you are. That's your resolution. So they're up to like 8K now, but really in a theatrical setting, the best they're going to be able to do is 4K because you have to mount the projector. It's a giant projector, and you got to mount it the same with the IMAX projector. But film is not really pixels like that. It's film. It's a whole different resolution.
It is.
So when you get a better resolution, especially through really great glass, your lensing and stuff like that, it's magical. It's a different world. I've been fortunate to work a little bit with film. It's a different bear than digital because digital is so much easier. But the resolution and what you get behind the camera is just you can't beat it on you just can't beat it. You just got to have the money and the
Right.
talent around you to be able to harness film. That's
Absolutely.
all.
Absolutely. See, when I started out in radio. Um, and I love being a disc jockey and everything. But then I was able to jump into television, work for the
Yes.
local television stations, and learn
Very
how
cool.
to do the news, how to do all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then after that, but then I learned how to do everything professionally because, like you said, you
Yeah.
have mentors coming in
Yes.
correcting your your work and stuff. And so I had a tough time with that. And then I jumped over to cable access
Oh wow.
where they let you make as many mistakes as you want, you know, as long as we can put it on the air.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and I started out, I thought that A/B roll editing
Okay.
was it. I
Yeah.
thought it was a tape to tape, blah, blah, blah. And I did that, and I did my first two movies, A/B roll editing.
Yeah.
That was back in the SVHS days. I don't know if you ever worked with SVHS back
I'm
then.
familiar with it, but no.
Yeah.
Never
So
with it.
anyway, I'm working on all this, and the only problem with working with videotape is you got to keep it away from any electrical
Sure.
magnets.
Absolutely you do. You better believe you do.
I
Yeah.
lost my first movie. All I have is clips from
Oh,
my EMT. I did a ambulance
yeah.
movie because the um, cable access bought a retired ambulance. It's one of the
Okay.
box
Yeah.
ambulances,
Yeah.
perfect for production, but
Yeah.
to put production in. So I used it as a prop
Yeah.
to do this movie, and I lost it. My second movie, which I was able to recover most of it, was my episode 9 from outer space. It was an homage to Ed Wood. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah. Yeah.
Ed Wood and Plan
Yes.
9. And I did it in black and white and all
Nice.
that stuff. But it's so cheesy. all my stuff is cheesy. Right now, I've been working for a year now, and I had to delay production because of the heat because I'm doing miniatures. I'm going back to the old school Godzilla, the old Toho Ishiro Honda stuff where they had the miniatures and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm using pyro, so which is fireworks left over from Fourth of
yeah,
July. And but because it's been hot and dry, I haven't been able to do it.
yeah.
But I've been able to spend more time on my miniature city, so I can do that. My
People
problem
don't
is everything's off
understand movie
scale.
magic. Movie magic is just that, especially back in the day. And there was a wonderful time there in the early '90s where they were really combining the two digital and the physical effects. I'm a guy that's eh, I, I don't even want to talk about green screens and physical if I can avoid it. Or digital. I want to do everything physical as much as possible because it just looks better. But yeah, I mean things like Star Wars or Back to the Future with Zemeckis. I mean, they had their uh, big camera up on top of their, I think, Vega, driving with a little
Right.
miniature. It wasn't that miniature, but it was miniature, getting those train shots and just slowing the footage down a little bit. And, there's a lot of ways to do it. Well, that's how they faked the moon landing, right? Slowed that footage down a little bit. Old
Yeah,
Kubrick.
we'll
I
definitely get kicked off at YouTube.
didn't say that out loud, did I?
La 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 la. Anyway, yeah, because I I'm like I said, I'm old school, and when I did the Godzilla fight scenes, I made a clone of Godzilla, and it's a guy in a suit. And what's interesting and the toughest part is I have to play all the parts. I got to play Godzilla, I got to play the villain, I've got to play the clone, and I got to direct the picture and
Yeah, yeah.
play other
That's tough.
characters.
The more hats you got to wear, the harder it is. You need a team around you. And
I
when
don't
you ain't got
have a
money,
crew
you
anymore.
just gotta do the best you can. That's the
Yeah,
tough
I
part
don't have a
about film.
crew anymore. I'm a production of myself. Wimbletoon's Productions. You're
Yeah,
looking at them.
yeah.
But But getting back to Ironwrath, like I said, I watched this video. Let's see if I can play this one really quick because I know we're kind of running out of time here. This is it.
There's no escape, no escape. I'm a fighting soldier. It's for his fate to know where I go, know where I go. Laying in a bed of lies in this masquerade. Wearing the mask to impress the last. Hell of a price to pay. Legends never die. They become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. Legends never die.
Oops, sorry about that. That was the CD, which I bought and downloaded the other day, and I tell you, every song, every song that you guys do is just a masterpiece.
Your
Especially
check's in the mail. Your check's in the mail, man. I tell you, those that are interested in the Iron, what we're really trying to do is two things with Iron Wrath. I mean, we're definitely trying to kick the hornet's nest because we think our freedom wasn't free, and our spiritual freedom, that God gave us through His only begotten Son wasn't free. So, and today the world is trying to change that narrative across the board. Whether it's the soldier dying for freedom or Jesus dying for our salvation. So we want to raise questions. We want to start dialogue and kick the hornet's nest with what we do musically. But what we're really trying to do is create an experience, something that you can sit and explore, kind of like Roger Waters did or Pink Floyd with The
Oh,
Wall. You
love.
know, yeah, just something to engulf
I
you.
bought that when I was a kid. When that first came out, I
Oh,
had to get the album. I
very
had the
ambitious,
vinyl.
very amazing. So that's really the goal. But with that said, the way we're going about it is building a new model. Today, we personally believe the music industry, there's not really a definitive way to get from point A to point B anymore because the infrastructure is broken. So what we've chose to do is go about it through film. And so we're working on Master Storyteller, Ironwrath Master Storyteller, as a streaming platform that we're looking, like I said, for Netflix, Amazon, Hulu. We'll be having conversations with all those people when we get it done. Right now, we got to get the legal portion of it all done, which you know about that. That's a
Yes, I
monster in
do.
itself. And so there'll be some clips to replace and some stuff. But for those that are interested in checking it out, we do have that available on our VIP site. And the VIP, we're bad at we don't take money from people. We're not that bad. We're here to create an experience for you, and we have product that if it's up, you like it, grab it. But the VIP itself is a way to support the band. There it is, right there. And if you click on that, that's a movie, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. But yeah,
There, yeah.
go to no, go up,
Oh,
click out of that, go up back to where you see Sean. Yeah, click on that.
oh, click on him. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't see that.
You wanted VIP? You got VIP. Now's your chance to explore the realm like never before with the Ironwrath VIP Members Only experience. With your paid subscription, you'll be able to delve into an hour of exclusive content and all things Ironwrath, including up close and personal interviews and stories from the band, exclusive VIP merchandise, secrets to the realm, extensive documentary vlog series of behind the scenes, and insights into the band's inspiration and approach to their music. Also, you will have exclusive access to the Ironwrath Theater, where you will be able to sit back and enjoy private screenings of the Ironwrath Master Storyteller feature film. Don't miss out on your backstage pass to all things Ironwrath. The Ironwrath VIP Members Only experience. Your trip down the rabbit hole awaits.
The way people can experience the film, but there's also in filmmaking, we have a vlog. Like when we did the best part of me, I think it's like 80 days or log there. There's probably about 2 hours worth of just the pitfalls of filmmaking as well as the trials and the good stuff, the good news that came along with it. So it's the VIP is pretty cool, but it's a way if people want to support the band but you can watch the film there, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it. And you got some really good actors. You got Les Carlson.
Got less. That
I
was
I have Bloodgood's that big stage thing that they
oh
did
yeah,
a few years ago in Seattle. I have that.
yeah.
I
Very
have
ambitious.
all those old.
Way ahead of his time. Yeah. Yeah, he just did at Immortal. He
Absolutely.
actually did some blood good stuff, which was fantastic. And his solo project is smoking. I mean,
Oh
yeah, I
yeah,
got
him
to
and
hear a
his
lot of
wife.
new
Yeah.
new material that he's working on right now. His wife Joyce is writing some good stuff too.
Yeah.
It's they're monster. I just finished a project with them called Saint John in Exile. And
Oh,
Steve
okay.
Reich Films got involved, and we took a project they did at a church and got it up to streaming stuff. And they just released that on DVD. It's called Saint John in Exile. You can get it from Les Carlson. I think LesCarlsonmusic.com. But yeah, it's a one man show of him doing St. John.
Yeah.
It's
I
really good.
saw, yeah, I saw the video you did, The River.
Yes.
That was awesome video. And
Oh,
then
great song. Yeah.
he's in the I'm trying to get exit out of here. Sorry.
No
When
worries.
you're your own producer, I
Yeah.
had to fire mine, which
Yeah.
was me. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I did this album 30 years ago. I don't know if you could see it very well.
I see it.
Right there. Okay.
Boogie Live.
I did this like 30 years ago and with a friend of mine who's now a pastor up in Cottage Grove, Oregon.
Yes.
I spent $150 through Spotify or CD Baby.
Yeah.
I got 150 of no, I got 100 of these for $150. Okay. So I sent a stack to him a couple of weeks ago. What does he do? He takes them in the studio and remix them and updates them, and he adds some really killer. He finally got those three metal chords.
Good. Good.
It's hammering now, so I'm going. Ooh, I can't wait till he finishes it. Then I got to put that up on Spotify. So anyway, it's fun doing music. It's a
Yep.
joy. It brings out the endorphins and like, keeps you thin, especially if you're a drummer.
Yep. Yep.
So getting into the video, there is so many songs. It's an in-your-face metal reality. Thy Return, great message. Um, um, that the driving intro. Oh, that's to freedom. Isn't that the
Yes.
one you come in with the
Yeah.
just come in like gangbusters?
Yeah.
That's
It's a music odyssey for sure, and it takes you down different emotional heartstrings. I mean, it really there's a spectrum of emotion it covers, and I think for a lot of people, it says what they can't say. A
right.
lot of people are afraid to get canceled, and they got to be careful, or but they yet believe a certain thing. Ironwrath, as well as several podcasts and comedians are standing up and saying what you're not supposed to say, and uh, and that's what most of us feel and what most of us are thinking. That you know hope is in God, and we better pay attention to the freedoms of this nation, or we're not going to have any. So we need to be grateful for what we have, and we need to stand up. It's our duty, I believe, for what's been given to us.
Absolutely.
It was paid for by a price, of in blood. So we need to take that seriously. So yeah, so
Absolutely. And make sure you have plenty of these when you're watching this movie.
yeah,
You do
that's
go through a range of emotions, you do the head banging and then you get angry at a lot of the atrocities and
yeah.
everything that's happening, and then you get those heartwarming vibes. I love Masquerade.
Yes.
And the reason why is I just got through reading a book. I don't know if you're familiar with this one. I'll put this one up.
Oh, okay. No,
It's
I'm
called
not.
Welcome to the Masquerade by Shannon Rowan and John Hamer. Shannon
Right.
Rowan's a neighbor of mine. She lives just over the border here. She has to live up in the off the grid because she can't handle the 5G stuff.
Got it. Got it.
It's really tearing her up. John Hamer, he's from England, United Kingdom. Great people, and everything in this book is in that song.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's just mind-boggling.
I think music needs to be relative. I think it needs to have a message. It's better when songs do. A lot of people want to just be neutral with their music. There's nothing wrong with that. But for us, we're out to pick a fist fight. I'll
Right.
just say it like that. The gloves are off, and there's not a time to. Maybe in the '80s we could kick back a little bit, but not now.
No,
It's too much at
now's not
stake,
the
and
time.
so we recognize that, and we're ready for it. So, but yeah, masquerade is, basically, people are putting on a mask, pretending to be something they're not for the sake of being accepted, or you know,
We're
uh,
complying.
not being, outcast. And
Right.
it's a scary time we live in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a couple of tributes. We talked about the tributes to the church, to the troops, and
Yes,
and you have Legends Never Die.
yes.
That, I get it. We get it. We've lost a lot of talented people.
They become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fight is near. It's deep in their bones, they're riding to smoke and the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die.
Yes.
Times. And even though they weren't perfect, they were flawed human beings, just like anything. Another favorite of mine is the Johnny Cash tribute.
Yeah.
It's a gift. My mother always told me that any talent is a gift of God, and I always believed it. If I quit, I would just live in front of the television and get fat and die pretty soon. So I don't want to do that. I think in my world of religion, you're called to preach or you don't preach, called by God to preach. I've never been ordained by God to preach the gospel. If I have a calling, it's called to perform and sing. I think gospel song is a ministry in a way. Gospel music. Gospel music is so ingrained into my bones. I can't do a concert without singing a gospel song. It's what I was raised on. It was a thing that inspired me as a child, growing up on a cotton farm where the work was drudgery and it was so hard that when I was in the field, I sang all the time, and usually gospel songs, because they lifted me up above that black dirt. I've got a home in glory land that outshines the sun, way beyond the blue.
Talk about that took a lot of tissues to get through that video.
Yeah.
I love Johnny, and
Yeah.
to do the cover is just, you guys, it
It's
took it
been
up
it's
several
it's
notches.
been like done a lot. Not when we chose to do it. It hadn't been done as much, but and we actually I got inspired from not I mean to do the song was I got inspired just by hearing the song, but such a great song by Johnny along so many others. But there was a version of the Eagles doing the Hotel California on the Hell Freezes Over tour. And it was just like such a gorgeous rendition, flamenco, and it was just this acoustic intro, and it just moved. I thought, man, that is a production right there, and it's hard to impress me. And I was just blown away. Eagles do it all day long, right? So when we came around to this song, as thought, man, we'd love to do something for Johnny. This would be the song to do. The lyrics are just so gut wrenching,
Mhm.
and I said, I know a production. I know a way to we can might be able to go about this. And we said Sean had this patch in his system, and we started going down that road. And once we started going, it's like, okay, yeah, this is gonna work big time. And then we'll, for the film, it really ends our second act because our film is a first act, second act, third act, and the second act comes in at the end of Masquerade, where it kind of drifts in that weird part, and we go into Mystic Water, the people floating in water, and the guitar solo, and that's where we start getting you emotionally, and we start going down loss and relationships and this. But Johnny, the first part of Johnny is still in the second act, but once it kicks into the hard, that's where we enter into the third act. So, and that was, I think, the first time we've done something that's more blues oriented too.
Mhm.
It's kind of got that bluesy feel. We really don't go there. Not there's anything wrong with going there, but it's the first time it was a reason to go there. We did. So yeah, we love that song, and it really, uh, in concert, that was a song people when they saw Johnny up there, they were going nuts in the audience, and we love that, and what a great guy, I mean, he was, another flawed guy, he's like all of us. Everybody in
Absolutely.
Iraq's flawed,
But to
but
me, he was more, out of all the artists back in those days, I think he was the more genuine. You
There you go. He was
know?
authentic. He was who he was. He didn't claim to be someone he wasn't, but he also said, God matters to me. Choosing hope in life is a better thing to choose. And people respected him for that because he was real about it. It wasn't a cliche or, a slogan. It was he felt it with his life. And most of us had seen a lot of his life and understood this wasn't like, the ideal model, which is who God grabs, right? God grabs people that aren't your ideal model. Or, he uses people that the world looks at as broken or discarded. God's, got a reason, or it's got a reason for us to live, and that's through his son. And so Johnny got that, and yeah, it was a real pleasure for us to perform that song, and we really wanted to do it in such a way that paid homage to him, which you definitely see live with the video, the live concert, but also the song that we kind of do it in a way that's Ironwrath, but doesn't spit on the production that Johnny did. So
Yeah.
that was very important to us to respect
I
his.
think if he was alive today, I think he would have. I think he would have approved of it.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because I mean, he did 9 Inch Nails. He
Yeah.
did Hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
he,
Oh,
in my
that's hard.
opinion, I think he did Hurt a lot better
Yeah.
than.
Oh, it penetrates. It's like Willie Nelson. Some of Willie's songs you can do them, with all the Christmas you want, but it's not the same as the
Oh,
artists when they do that song, their own song. There's an amount of emotion and feel to it that you can't replicate. So yeah, I agree.
and yeah, and the story in Alive. Oh, now is that based on a true story?
No, we want to support our troops, and it's just the basic philosophy that it's not just them but the families. The idea that there's guys over there and they're fighting oftentimes a stupid war that they don't agree with, and they're stuck in a situation where, when you're on the field and you're out there, I mean, where's your food? It's not like, it's like, okay, 5 o'clock, checking out for the day, go home, watch Netflix, and eat a steak dinner. I mean, you're there. You're in the cold. Your life is on the line, and sometimes it's easy to lose faith. And I know a lot of people I've talked to in the military. They, the idea of who's waiting at home, whether it's their fiance, wife, husband, uh, family, kids, dog, their animals, whatever it is, just a little bit of light. If you can give them just a little bit of light to hold that faith to hang in there. And it's not just them that deal with it, but it's the families that deal with it too, knowing that dad is, overseas, and are we going to see, is he going to come back? Or are they going to employ him for another 6 months? When am I going to get, my family back? When can I live the American dream? why people are complaining about traffic or the price of their subscription of Hulu. These guys and girls are sacrificing everything, and so we wanted to write a song that would encourage them. Just hang in, and that's the chorus. I'm alive in a world that's been consumed by greed. I'm alive. Just a glimpse of light is all I need. And to hang in there. Both from God that's got a plan and purpose to the people that matter most in your life. We see your sacrifice, and we wanted to do something in a song that would encourage them to
Right.
hang in there, that they
Yeah,
could go home and see their families and live the dream that we're living.
yeah, the military scenes that you did, I thought those were filmed very well.
Thank you.
Although I did see some clips in there that looked a little familiar.
There's some stock
But
footage.
only I could see that.
Yeah,
You know?
there's some stock footage and there's a couple clips
Yeah,
that we're working on those right now. That's
right.
it's in the queue to get taken
But
care of. It's
it
hard to get
worked.
those clips. They
Yeah.
shoot for real, but
But aside from that, the drama, I mean, you didn't have to have dialogue to drama, the couple where the husband has to be deployed.
yeah,
That was so artistic because that's what goes through all army military wives go through.
yeah,
So you see that anguish, and they're trying to remember what it's like
right.
together. Awesome. And then freedom, with the guy, he's more caught up in himself than his girlfriend.
Well, she's with the song you're talking about is one. It starts that song too with a saying in the film. It says, "What is the price of sacrifice?"
Right.
But going to freedom, it's the idea that the girl is a metaphor for us, and the guy is sin, and she keeps going back to him. He treats her wrong, and I'm sure she makes him laugh, and he makes her laugh, and there's good qualities, but there's always that he's a downside. He's taken her the wrong direction, and then her dad, is a type of like who God is to us. Always, instead of taking her money, he makes a $10 bill comes out of her ear, makes her smile, makes her laugh, and is there to care about her and care for her. But yet, even in spite, it was important as a filmmaker to not, take away that obstacle so soon. But even when the obstacle there, she goes the wrong way. Like at the end, she's virtually abused. And actually, originally we put her being abused, but we took that out because it was a little strong for some people. So we kind of took that out, but still him throwing her down is strong. And then she still ends up going to bed with the guy and forgiving the guy. But that is the last straw. But she does turn and then finally realize I need to get out of this abusive situation. And which in that thing is domestic violence, we're so against that, But even as a type for us in the world and the abuse and the sin that we choose to cling on to that's doing nothing but destruction in our life, we need to let go of that and go the better way. God, the scripture says that Satan's come to kill, steal, and destroy, but I've come to give you life in that more abundantly.
Absolutely.
And that's what that song visually, the vignette that we've tried to create.
And plus, too, somebody like us who are born again, when they see those scenes between the dad and the daughter and
Yeah,
the wisdom that he's instilled into his daughter, in other
right.
words, planted seeds in her heart that she goes back to.
She's
And that's
reminded.
how a lot of people come back to God.
Yeah,
They remember how they were raised. They remember the person who either gave them a track or just shared their life with them. They didn't really preach to them, but they, through their example and through,
right.
how they live, made an impression. That happened to me. People made impressions on me. And when I turned 21, I became born again because I was at that crossroads where I was about to give up, and then and I remember all the scriptures that John 3:16, 1 John 1:9, all those came flooding into me. and I knew I need to come back to the Father.
Character matters, and that's Jesus died on the cross. He showed us he loved us, through his example. And there's no greater love than this, that a man lays life down for his friend,
Yeah.
and he calls us friends. And he showed us that, yeah. And that's what really stuck with me back in the when I was in rock and roll and drugs and all that, debauchery, man. It was, I lay awake at night, speed it out of my head and just going, where does this end up? Maybe for the next 40 years, it could be a hell of a ride. But eventually, that ends up ending. I mean, look at Kiss.
Mhm.
They're retired now in their 70s. It's Hugh Hefner did it till he was 80 something, whatever, living his life of the dream. But it's gone now. It's over. What happens when you pass from here to there? What happens after death? Well, the Bible tells us that apart from him, we're accountable for our life. And if we follow the ways of the devil, then we're accountable for that. And if we don't have the payment to pay for that, then we're separated. But God, through his wisdom, gave us his son to pay for that price for us. The lamb that was without sin. And if we accept that and accept him as our Lord and Savior, then it changes everything. It doesn't mean we're better, and but we try to approach things through the lens of Scripture and follow God in a realistic way, and realizing that His words, are the way of life. It says that He's the way, the truth, and the life in John, and that His word is a light unto our path in Psalms. So we don't have to figure stuff out. We can go back to the instruction manual and find out the purpose of why we're here. And the purpose is to know God through eternity. So that's really, to me, back in those days, I used to grapple with that. And it wasn't until I went to a Dio concert on, I think I dropped some Purple Unicorn. I was smoked Thai Bud and, drank a bunch of beer and went in. I was out of it, man. But I came out and there were guys out there passing out tracks, dressed up like Moses, but it got my attention, gave me a track, and I found it a couple weeks later, along with another track when a buddy of mine, we used to go get high and then we come back and just jam. And while I was getting high, he goes, "Hey, man, check this out." Gave me some track, told me about some guy dying and going to hell, and then waking up and coming back to life, going, "Oh my God, I want to go back there," which is the wrong thing to read when you're high on drugs, or maybe it was the right thing. But Sky was like, "Bap, bap, bap." It freaked me out. But I realized that, well, I didn't know about this Jesus. I just thought you're a good person. You go to heaven, or you try to be nice to your fellow neighbor. Most stuff that the world believes. But I didn't realize that Jesus would have died for me if I would have been the only one that would have sinned. And that really changed my life. And I thought, well, man, who am I? I'm not really worth that much, in my opinion, compared to other people. Why would you choose me or die for me? I'm not the super successful, blah, blah, blah person out there. But he did it because of his love for us, not because of our merit, but because he chose us. And it changed my life. So I thought, if you did that for me, I'm giving my life to you. And I've never looked back and regretted it. I'm not in a cult. I'm not in a have to do this, have to do that. I wake up, I pray to God, I walk with God, I listen to his word. I try to apply it to my life. I try to treat others as though they matter. And I don't overly push anything I do on anybody. But
Right.
I live in such a way that it might witness that. Now, if someone wants to ask me, I understand scripture and I can rattle it off. I can help them with their questions on what the purpose of God is, or what's, after the grave, or so on and so forth. And with Ironwrath, we write about that stuff too. And we market God because we're definitely pro God. We believe that, if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you need to, because
Mhm.
death is coming for us all, man. And but it's not just about that, but it's life here now. When you understand that, it takes the scales off your eyes, and you see, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is why we're here. This is why everything exists. God did this and God did that, and that's why." And it just makes sense now. Everything's crystal clear.
It's
It's a great
waking
place.
up out of the matrix.
Exactly. That which is a perfect example. It's a better place to be by far. It's our purpose to be there. So, I encourage anybody that know Jesus, to, pop open the Bible, start in the book of John, pray, God, if you're real, show me. And he will. He will. And just
Well,
listen to what he does.
yes. Amen. So winding this down towards the end of you had one more story, I believe.
Okay.
And oh, the way I know it was reminiscent of Roger Waters and the Wall,
Yes.
how you woven in the Holocaust and all that, and
Death March. Yes.
the Death March. And I tell you, that it's kind of a more recent thing, but a lot of that is still going on today. We have martyrs today,
Yeah.
Christians getting their head. This has been going on for centuries.
Centuries.
I
Yes.
mean, I was thinking on working on a song about St. Bartholomew's massacre,
Yeah.
where thousands of Christians were brutally murdered in the
Yeah.
streets, because
Uh,
they didn't bend to a certain religion or whatever,
all over the world,
whatever.
it's happening today. And our history is filled with
Yes.
it, whether it's Christian history or just history. The purpose of Death March was really, um, there's a line in Death March which is just so haunting to me. I don't know if it is to everyone else, but to me, it just shows up my spine. And it's in verse 2, it says that it started with law. And that's the purpose of Death March is we have a beginning, middle, end to that story.
Mhm.
Right now in the country, people don't realize that we're at the beginning, getting to the middle of the story.
Mhm.
And it always plays out the same way. And so that was the real purpose of writing Death March, is that there's a line in there because we put a lot of verbiage on the screen so you kind of understand what's being said. And that's that those that learn nothing from history are doomed to repeat it. And the Holocaust, 1941, the final solution where they killed 6 million Jews, gassed them, really started in 1933 with an Enable Act, and that it was a law that passed that gave the Third Reich uh, power to not have to go through the German parliament to issue laws. A lot of people don't realize the Nazis never broke the law. They were doing everything that was passed through the parliament through this Enable Act. But through that, they slowly eroded the rights of the Jews to where
Mhm.
they were they broke them as human beings. Like they didn't even consider themselves human beings anymore. And that's just one of the scariest parts. If you go back to history and you can
Right.
read or listen to older interviews of people that were there, that's what they say was the scariest part, that they viewed themselves as not even human anymore because they'd been treated so bad and left alone and they
Mhm.
were broken. And in this country, if they take our guns
Yeah.
and they keep passing the laws they pass, there's nothing to keep them from doing the same thing here. And so that was really the purpose
Look at
of
Australia, for example. They took away,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
see, and that could happen here, you know.
Yes.
But the thing about Germany back then is it wasn't just the Jews. I mean, there was Croatians, there were Russians,
Right.
there were Poles, there were born again Christians,
13 million in total. Yeah. That
right? And it's just mind-boggling. And if you ever hear the story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, I believe he was murdered by Adolf Hitler because he opposed. He was a
yeah.
German citizen who opposed Hitler, and he could have came to the United States. We offered him asylum, but he said no. I need to go back, and it
Yeah.
cost him his life. And
Yeah.
you know that's
It's an eerie period that was only 80 years ago. That's the point. And if we don't pay attention to, I mean, what Gavin
going to
Newsom
happen
did
again.
last week, passed a law that if you post a meme that they disagree with, they can arrest you, because it's untrue. Who's to say what's untrue? You know, the 9/11 Commission, CNN. Oh, these are people we're relying on. It's
Oh,
like,
look at the dog and pony show of January 6th.
Yeah,
That's been
100%.
twisted all out of, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the January 6th is plain and simple. That is the day that the states say we have certified this person as president, and it was six uh states that were gonna say we object, and they would have 1 hour to make their case. And they did not want that to happen. And that was the purpose of letting everybody in, which is thousands of hours of declassified that should have ever been classified to begin with. And if you're anybody out there that you've watched the tapes and you've heard the audio, know this and that those cameras don't have audio. Whenever you see security footage, there is no audio. So when you got this stuff on the news, you're hearing the stuff that's been fabricated, just from a filmmaker standpoint. But there's all these things of them letting them in, and it was, what kind of insurrection do you do with no guns? Well, seriously, you're going to overtake the Capitol? Give me a break, man. They were just there to peacefully and poetic to protest and get our voices heard, and then they were led into the Capitol for the purpose of not letting these six states present their case. And then they came back and said, that's it. Joe Biden's president, and ramrodded through with a bunch of bogus, ballads. I mean, watch 2,000 Mules, De Socia. I mean, that guy did a tremendous job with that movie, showing you, the data that the FBI uses all the time. It's just you got to pay attention. It's very simple. And if we stand up as a nation and say no more, we can take our country back. Mm-hmm. If we keep just sitting back going, well, geez, it's close to the polls. No, it's not. I just went through middle America, man. All I saw was Trump signs. Elon Musk just did a poll on Twitter of 5 million people. Most people don't understand the Gallup polls are usually sections of 100 people to right. 250. They're not that deep.
Yeah.
And they can be controlled by where you take the poll. Elon Musk did one of 5 million, and it was 73% Trump. Mm-hmm. That's a real poll. It's not close. It never has been. But they're pitching this so that you believe that it's close, so that when they ramrod this through again, they go, well, it was close.
Right.
And they can play that game again. Come on, man. This is just a dog and pony show, and it's propaganda and media, something I'm very familiar with, and something that even Hitler used back in the day.
Yep.
So
absolutely, it's history repeating itself. And the total solution, as a friend of mine, as Johnny and I always say, the solution is revolution.
Yeah.
It's time for people to get their heads out of the sand.
Yes.
And take a stand and say, enough of this nonsense.
And hopefully projects like Ironwrath wake people up, at least get people talking about it. We at Mortal we played, and I had a friend that I guess one of his friends he invited, like by Better Lies, like they were and they were irate, and we're not there to, but I mean it's good, because now you're thinking, now you're you're not just kicking back in this bliss that they want to keep you in. You're confronted with this. What are you going to do about it? If you don't like what we said, why? What did we say? We didn't say anything. We showed you clips of people burning flags and doing seances at the MTV Music Awards. I didn't make that up. I didn't write a script for that. I'm just taking what they already played. Nancy Pelosi getting a blowout during COVID. I didn't do that. What are you getting mad at? But if you want to talk about it, let's have a conversation, because these things need to be talked about, because the media is saying the exact opposite of that. And Gavin Newsom just passed a bill saying if you say that and post that, you can be arrested. That's totalitarianism. That's tyranny.
Yeah, we feel, of course, I'm in Oregon, so we're pretty much in the same boat.
Yes.
But we feel for you guys in California. No wonder people want to leave. People leaving in droves,
It's hard, man. Across the board, everything from the taxes, the stuff they're trying to do with homeowners insurance right now,
right.
Passing laws about that, and the neutering of our kids in schools. It starts with law. It starts with
Yeah,
law. You see
yeah,
it in California, New York, and
right.
Chicago.
And this is what angered me so much is that you impeached Gavin Newsom. That means he's out of there. He's fired. He no longer works for us,
Yeah.
right? Then how come he's still?
Because the oligarchs say he stays there, and
Yeah,
unless it's like the Game of Thrones, season one when Ed, I don't know if they're any Game of Thrones fans, but what you call it, came and he had the blessing of the king that died, that he was supposed to now be the king, and she said, "Let me see that," and then just stabbed everybody and took the place over. That's basically what they're doing. Or
yeah,
like Star Wars, what is it? Episode three, whatever the decree 666 it was, where the everyone just goes turns and bam. I mean,
yeah.
that sounds crazy unless you let 200 or 20,000 migrants come in illegally that are mostly, are people from other countries that might be up to something like that. Just maybe.
It's a new type of invasion, is what it is,
Yeah,
basically.
you're setting up an invasion here, and we've been at war for a while. Not bang bang bang,
No,
but taking away laws, jailing people, silencing people. That's a you can't do that. We have a freedom of speech. We have a constitution. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic,
that's
and we
right.
have a constitution that says you can say what you want. And that's what the government wants. They want to silence you.
Well,
So you can't.
they want to get rid of our Constitution. We have the world's oldest Constitution,
Yeah.
and they want to destroy it.
It's a document
Yeah.
written for a time like this because in 1776 they came from a time like this, and
Mhm.
that's why they broke away from England. The taxes and the control and everything else. They broke away. They started this crazy new idea of a constitutional republic and freedom in one nation under God, and you know, and it was the most successful country ever, you know. And now we're getting lazy, we're getting quiet, and they've been feeding our kids, all this craziness. So now that they're adults, they're against everything, free Palestine or Chaz, the nation they set up in, where was that, Seattle? Chaz. It's like we're against walls. We're gonna build on a little thing. We're gonna put walls around it, get guns, and it's like a bunch of hypocrites. Or it's just garbage. It says we're smarter than that.
Yeah.
The people that are listening to CNN, you're smarter than that. Stop listening to the news and just look at what's going around you. Look at the price of gas, the price of food. The rules are being passed against our kids. And what you can and can't do. I mean, what more do you need to know that we're, at war and that, tyranny is upon us?
Yeah.
We outnumber them. Let's just stand up and take it back.
Hmm.
Get rid of the
Absolutely.
get rid of the media. What do they have? That's it. They got a microphone and we don't.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing is that years ago when I was a kid, I used to watch these shows like 60 Minutes, and you had they were exposing all this stuff, like what we're doing.
Yeah,
They did it back then, and then all of a sudden it's all turned around, and it's because they took over.
correct, correct.
They took
Yeah,
over our media and said, "Nah, you're gonna you're gonna use our script."
yeah. And
Just
it's
watched
all
a, I just watched a movie, a documentary the other day, where when they made great movies, Maverick and all those, but in order to get those made, they had to go through the military industrial
correct,
complex,
correct.
and they are the script
They're the
providers.
gatekeepers.
They're the gatekeepers, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. I forgot what it was called. Some kind of theater, a theater of war or something like that.
It's
And so,
Operation Mockingbird is what it
oh,
is.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
We're being controlled, so it's just we have to stand up and say something, man. We want to entertain you, and I think our concert, our music, and the level of musicians we have on stage is par none, right up there with the best of them.
Absolutely.
The visuals, top notch, and but we have a message, and we're trying to say something to not just entertain you, but to wake you up. We're not gonna preach at you. We're not gonna tell you what you have to believe, but we're gonna make you question things. We're gonna present issues that are confronting the world around us. And that's one thing I'd say about Ironwrath's Master Storyteller. It's relative to where we live right here, right now, and the lyrics of our songs are ripped right out of the headlines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's been cool.
I was only going to go about an hour, but I know you probably are a very busy guy, and I thank you so much for taking your time out to come and do this. And I'll put this together. Most of it is pretty much done. I'll probably have to fix a few things in post, put my introduction and all that. I'll send you a copy if you let you.
Always do what you do. If you need any of that stuff, like you blew up the screen. If you want the actual videos, just let me know. I'll just send you those, and you can, if you're doing editing, you can slap those over. Then you got like the high res version. Whatever you need, let me know. But it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you do, because it takes all of us to an ecosystem to make all this work.
Right. Okay. All right. So thanks again, and we'll talk soon.